Hey everybody, and welcome back to Crafty Little Megan. I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season. I have a holiday-ish craft for you today. It's a pie banner. You might have seen them flying around Pinterest and on your Facebook feed, and this is my take on it, so I hope you really enjoy it. It is more of a Thanksgiving craft, but you know that things get crazy around the holidays, so we can use this for all year round. Pie is amazing at any time. So I hope you enjoy it, and stay tuned.
So aside from this craft being ridiculously cute, it is also ridiculously cheap. All you'll need is some felt, scissors, yarn, cardboard, and hot glue. I started by cutting enough cardboard triangles to make 2 pieces of each pie. I did square off the corners a little bit so that the pie crust will be a little bit more of a square shape than a triangular shape. Then for the pumpkin pie, I just roughly eyeballed the shape of the pie with my orangish colored felt. Moving on to the pecan pie, I used a brown color felt and cut some strips. And then from these strips, I cut rectangles and then rounded the corners to make kind of an oval oblong shape. These were going to be the pecans for our pecan pie. I'm not gonna lie, when I was at the craft store and I saw the selection of felt that they had, I was a little bit stressed out buying this yellow color. I felt like it was way too bright to be apple pie. I wanted more of like a muted white yellow. Of course they didn't have it, so I made do, and in the end it turned out to not really make a big difference. So then for this one, I just cut strips, and then I ended up cutting half moon shapes, kind of like apple slices. Now we're on to my husband's favorite pie, cherry pie. Shocking, I know, it starts off with the same step, cutting strips, and then I'm going to cut more of a square shape this time, and then round out the corners to make them circles. It's probably the easiest way to make circles out of felt, I think. And you're going to need a lot of them because there's a lot of cherries in cherry pie. After watching that awesome cherry cutting footage, I bet you're glad that we're not cutting individual blueberries for this pie. No, for this one we're just basically doing the same thing that we did with the pumpkin pie, cutting a triangle to cover the whole entire sheet of cardboard. What's pie without whipped cream? To do this, I just cut a sheet of cardboard. I used an old box that I had lying around in my recycle bin. I wrapped it around about 40 times and then tied it off with another piece of yarn, and then ended up cutting all of those little loops so that it's all frilly, and then fluffing it up and giving it a haircut so it's kind of round, and voila, a little poof of delicious and nutritious whipped cream. Back to the pecans. This time I'm trying to give them a more textured look to those ovals by making kind of a ruffle texture with hot glue. This turned out okay. It wasn't my best success of this project, and I originally had planned to do this with every single round, but after you fold them a lot, they become quite small, and I knew I wasn't going to have enough to cover the sheet of cardboard, so I just decided to put my ovals around and then kind of dot in the pecans for some texture. I could have covered this cardboard a lot more easily if I would have arranged the ovals almost like bricks, but everybody knows that pie is more sporadic, so trying to make it natural, I ended with a couple holes, but I think it turned out okay. At the end, I saved one of my pecan rounds and then just cut chunks of it to cover any white cardboard that's showing through. Also, in a stroke of genius, I ended up using the white cardboard face up. Had I used the brown, you probably wouldn't have even noticed that there were holes to begin with. It's time for crust. The crust is what made these pie slices super duper cute. It was almost like an elongated accordion fold, and I just did it going back and forth with hot glue. I only burned myself a few times, so overall, highly recommend. But it really made these slices pop out and kind of gave them a 3D effect. Turned out super cute, and I'm really happy with how that went. Cherry pie was essentially about the same as pecan, just kind of scatter in those cherries, try to make it look random as possible, and watch for holes. Blueberry is probably the easiest slice. Just slap that glue on top and fold it over the edges. You might have noticed I was doing that with my other pie slices too. Just trying to cover up those bare edges of the cardboard to give a good finished look in case anybody's looking at your banner from the side. Same thing with the pumpkin pie. Just fold it around the edges and glue. And here comes the crowning jewel of the pumpkin pie, the whipped cream. It looks so adorable. To make the blueberry pie special, I tried to do one of those crust top pies. So I just traced the shape of the blueberries, and then I knew I wanted some blueberries hanging out of the edges, so then I just probably went in a centimeter, half a centimeter from that measurement and cut around. And then I put some of those venting holes for some decorative touches, and so you could see a little bit more of the blue so that you knew it was blueberry pie. And glue it on, and you're ready to rock and roll. We finally made it to the last slice of pie, apple pie, a lot of people's favorite this time of year, with these beautiful yellow apples. I didn't worry as much about holes on this one. I just, again, tried to do sporadic. This one is going to be a very fancy lattice top pie, so any of the holes I just kind of covered with the lattice while I was doing it. final part of this pie banner is just getting it ready to hang. I ended up using some ribbon that I had on hand. I thought it would look a little bit nicer, but if all you have on hand is some of the leftover yarn from the whipped cream, by all means go ahead. I think it would be just as nice. I also ended up using some of the leftover felt that I had and then gluing it to the back of each of my ribbon pieces just as a little bit of extra securing. They're not super heavy, but I wanted it to stay nice and probably use it for several seasons. Then just like that, we've reached the end of the video and you can see the banner hanging in the background. It looked super cute, and I would really recommend this project to anybody who's interested. It was fun and inexpensive, and it didn't take very long at all. I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season, and if you're making this, you can always hang it up for Pi Day if you're a math nerd on March 14th. Have a good one!